Welcome to the Lori and Cher Show, Hacking into Awesome. I'm Lori Williamson.
And I'm Cher Jones.
And if you don't know, well, Cher and I are cousins, and we host this weekly Google Plus Hangout where we talk to absolutely awesome people and totally hack into what makes them amazing.
That's correct, Lori. And, of course, we are always on the hunt for awesomeness, and we found awesomeness tonight. So I'm really excited to talk to our guest, and I know that a lot of people have been tweeting and talking about this, so we are going to get into that in just a second. But in the meantime, if you are on YouTube right now, whether this is the live broadcast or you're watching the replay, make sure you hit subscribe. And of course, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up and leave some comments below. Who should we get next? What do you like about this broadcast? And of course, we always want your feedback. So if you are on Facebook, well, come on, show us some love on Facebook. Like the page, it's at facebook.com/Lori and Cher, and we'd love to connect with you socially, whichever way you'd like.
Yes. Well, Cher, I cannot believe today has been absolutely insane here in Toronto. I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to make it on the air.
I know, insane. Like the weather, crazy weather. For those of you who haven't been tracking Toronto weather, it has been nuts. Like we're talking torrential rains, we're talking like
tornadoes.
Tornadoes, yeah. We don't get tornadoes in Toronto. So,
and then power outages, because I had no power. I was in and out power, and I'm like, that is, yeah. It's kind of crazy when you're doing a web show and you're like, yeah, but I actually really need my internet tonight because we have an awesome guest on. So I'm happy that we're on the air tonight. I just want to, before we start the show and we get into our guest, I want to shout out some people tonight. Of course, Adriel Smiley, our associate producer, he is on Twitter, and he's going to be answering and taking your questions. So I want to shout him out for always helping us on the Lori and Cher Show, because, you know, Cher and I think he's awesome, right, Cher?
Oh, my gosh. What we couldn't do without Adriel. We are so grateful to have you out there, Adriel. He's grinding. He's writing. He is the multi-talented guy, so we're lucky to have him on the show, so we appreciate that.
Of course. Oh man, I had to, my air conditioning, I don't know, is not working, so if you hear any background noise, like, I don't know if you hear that, but, you know.
I hear it, but that's okay. We'll survive. Okay. First world problems.
I want to shout out to someone else tonight, and that's Doina Ansal. I mean, Doina has been promoting our stuff. She loves all our stuff on Facebook. She's been tweeting out and tagging people who would be interested in talking or listening to what our guest has to say tonight. So I just want to say that lady rocks, and thank you so much for always supporting our show. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, everybody who's been sharing our stuff. Melissa, Betsy, you're another one. We really appreciate you. We appreciate all of our fans. And I mean, the activity is really starting to brew on our Facebook page. We've been talking about some hot topics, so head on over when you get a chance. But in the meantime, if you're watching the show right now, you know what we want to know? We want to know, have you been burned by the industry, the music industry? We want to know, what are the hard lessons that you learned getting into this industry? Because tonight our guest is going to talk about avoiding those hard lessons, especially the ones that cost you. And so if you have been burned, or if you have some advice you want to share with anybody else, and you're watching this video, make sure you leave comments. Share that advice so people don't get burned.
And tweet us, too, hashtag Lori and Cher. As we said, Adriel is on Twitter, just managing it and making sure that we get your questions asked. Tonight we're getting schooled by the official DreamMaker. He's a serial entrepreneur, a 16-year vet in the music biz, and he is the author of the upcoming book, Broke and Famous, the Music Game. So we're happy to welcome the CEO of Wealth Nation Entertainment, Mr. Robert Terell, to the Lori and Cher Show. Welcome to the show, Robert.
Hey, what's up? I'm super excited to be on the show. Hi, Lori. Hi, Cher. How are you guys doing?
We are excited to have you.
Absolutely.
So you're joining us from Atlanta tonight. So how's the weather down there?
The weather down here has been a little crazy today, not kind of like Canada. You know, I don't think we can compete with what's going on up there, but you know, we did have a little, you know, torrential thing going on here for a couple hours, but other than that, it's been hot down here. So. Okay.
Well, you know what? We're grateful for the weather, so we're happy. It's you know, it's a little rain and it's not the snow. So hey, we're blessed.
Exactly.
So you know what? We wanted to start off, and we wanted to understand why have you been dubbed the official Dream Maker? How did you get that title?
Deal maker.
Official
Deal
deal
maker.
maker.
Yes, sorry, the official deal maker. I don't know why I said
Well,
Dream Maker.
in some instances, dream maker, I guess. And I know if I get
Yeah.
the deal, then if I get the deal, then that was the dream, right? Okay. Well,
Exactly.
I think that well, basically it all started with when I started working with Universal Music Group Distribution with John Ferguson. I did over 20 major label distribution deals last year. I was like, in the top 5 on our team. And even prior to that, I guess some of the deals that I got done for independent artists out there that were on their grind and probably thought, chances are I'm not going to get a situation, I was able to get that done. So for just using, for example, you remember the R&B group Soul For Real,
Mm-hmm.
from back in the day, Heavy D's group. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
they haven't, right. So, they hadn't had a major record out in over like almost 20 years. And I was able to get them last year a deal, not having that record out just based off of, what they've done. And so, just deals like that, just doing it, making deals happen when other people can't make it happen or don't think it's going to happen. I have a knack for that, I guess.
Okay, so you're kind of like a basketball scout. You're out there scouting talent, going to all the
Right.
games. So for you, what's the translation of that from a basketball scout or a sporting scout to a music scout? Like literally, that's probably what you're doing to find these deals and create them and make them happen.
Right. Well, really, the translation is, really being able to identify, is the brand viable? You
Mm.
know, are all of the components really there? Because a lot of times this thing is like putting a puzzle, a big, huge puzzle together, and there's all of these little pieces. And, you have to put all of the pieces together to make a picture that makes sense for the label, especially the majors, especially nowadays with A&R being gone and pretty much there's no A&R development. You pretty much have to come to the table ready to go and already have your buzz, and already have all of these components in place to even be considered, for a situation. So what I do, very much like a sports scout who's looking at all of the components as well, I do the same thing. I do an assessment, a brand assessment. I'm looking at, what type of work have they put in? If I Google you right now, what am I going to see?
Mm.
Are you doing shows? Are you not just hot in your hometown or in your local regional area, but are you hot in other states, in other markets? Can we market you nationally? What type of music? So everybody gets caught up in just like the record. Oh, I got my record. My record is dope. The record is hot. It's fire. But it's just it's so much more to it than that, than just having the record. Of course, having the record is a big piece of the puzzle. It's a centerpiece. However, you need all the other components to go with it to really have something going on.
So obviously we know that there's obviously a lot of misconceptions in the music business. What would you say the number one thing is right now? Because we know that the music game has changed a lot, but what would you think would be one of the biggest misconceptions?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions right now, particularly for the independent artists, is thinking that they can make it with no money.
Hmm. Like just getting their
Thinking
stuff
that
up on iTunes.
just basically, a lot of independent artists have this feeling of this sense of entitlement. That the game should just open up to them and roll out the red carpet because their music is hot or the music is dope. And that's just a big, huge misconception. You have to have money. You have to have a budget, some type of budget. You may not have, Rich Homie Quan type of budget when he first started as an independent artist, or Trinidad James, who had these huge budgets, but you're going to have some type of capital like any other business to get your thing going.
So when you're talking money, like what like talk to me dollars, because like I'm so ignorant in this game in the sense of what does it take? Is it like is it $10,000 worth of capital, 20,000, 5,000?
I would say if you're a rapper, I think you need really a minimum of $10,000.
Okay.
$10,000 you need at a minimum to really get anything substantial going.
Okay, so you're a brand new artist, you're independent. Step one is, is have a budget. Like break it down for somebody who wants to kind of really be guided through the process, and they want to kind of they come across someone like yourself.
Right.
What would you tell them? Like, let's bring us through the steps. So they have the $10,000, and
Right.
we assume that they have a couple of hot tracks.
Okay. Okay. All right. So first of all, let's walk through it. Okay. So number one, believe it or not, do you have a website? Okay. And is your website hot? Like you might, some people have a website, might need to be enhanced. Okay. What is your what is your online presence looking like? What are your numbers? What's your Twitter? What's your Instagram? What's your Facebook? What's all of your numbers? I mean, right now, if you don't have followers on Instagram, you're not even in the game. If you don't have, Twitter followers, you're not even in the game. So we might have to do some work in that area. We might have to hire somebody like Cher, or, somebody bring in, a brand specialist or a social media specialist to get your numbers up. All right, that's the first thing. What do you look like online if I Google you right now? Are you anybody or you nobody? So that's that. All right, next. What is the quality of the music? You said we're assuming we have hot tracks. Okay, are those tracks ready to go? Do you own the rights to the record? This is a big, huge thing right now. Like, who owns the record? Does the producer own the record? Do you own the record? Do you own it together? Do you have a release, from the producer to put the record out commercially? Which we'll talk about that more later when we get into features. But is your paperwork in order? Do you have the proper paperwork to really run with the record? Okay. A lot of the independent artists, they don't, from a simple thing as a split sheet agreement, which says that I wrote the record, you produced the record, we agreed we're going to split the publishing on the record, and we both sign it. Many of the independent artists don't even have that. That is the basic before we even get to a release where you would be able to release the record commercially. Okay. Have you done any shows? Where have you performed at? Because a lot of these independent artists have done local shows around their neighborhood and where they live, but they haven't really gone out of town. So we might have to put them on a promotional tour for independent artists. We got to move them around. We got to heat them up. We got to heat them up, shake them up, get them hot where they're relevant. So basically, in a nutshell, it's taking them from irrelevance to relevant as quickly as possible and making them a viable brand before we release the record.
Okay.
And then we have to look at also how ultimately how are we going to release the record? Because are we doing TuneCore, CD Baby, or are we doing a major label distribution? How are we putting the music out to the masses?
And then what happens? Whoa, let's see, we're getting a little sound echo feedback, I think, from one of our connections. But what happens when, okay, so they have this in play, and then all of a sudden, what happens next? So you looked and you're like, check website, check. They have their social in check. They have this track in check. Then they own the rights, and everything seems to be aligned. What happens next?
Okay, the next step after that is putting together a very strategic, well thought out marketing plan as to how we're going to market that artist and that particular record. We have to figure out if they might have 3 or 4 tracks that all could potentially be singles. We have to figure out what is the lead single, what's the strongest record. So one of the things I always encourage independent artists to do is to test the record. Mm-hmm. A lot of them don't test the record because either A, they don't even know anything about testing, or how to go about testing the record. So test the record. One of the easiest, most cost-effective ways to do that is to simply do an internet radio campaign, where, it might cost you $600-700, and the record's being played on the internet at about 5,000 different internet radio stations, or invite the DJs out from your area and have a listening party. So you have a listening party, all the DJs that are in the area, all of the other people come out, and everybody just might be in the studio, or might be in like a lounge, or some spot like that and listen to the album and everybody weigh in. You know, a lot of times independent artists have a habit of going off of what they think.
Of course.
Should be the lead, right? Of course,
because everybody. Because their friends say it's hot,
and what their friends think, yo, that's hot, yo. You know what I mean? So they're like, go, yo, you should run with that. That's fire. So I'm like, well, okay. Are your friends gonna buy 10,000 copies of your record?
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably not. You know. So let's see what the public at large thinks. I always say the fans are the boss. The fans are the boss. They determine what's a hit and what's not a hit. You know, we just try to have, what you want to try to do basically is have an inclination on what to go with. And at the end of the day, it's what the people are really rocking with.
And so this is what people need to come to you with this entire package, including the testing and everything else that we talked about. This is, if you don't have this, you're not a real contender, or is it sometimes you're willing to work?
I mean, if you have certain pieces in place, then, you know, we can work with you to help you get all of the pieces in place. You have to understand, again, at the end of the day, before anybody cuts a check, the whole situation has to make sense.
Right.
So you have to have the whole picture there. You can't come with, oh, I got a hot record, it's fire, you know, put me on, you should give me a deal. No, it doesn't work like that. What type of buzz do you have on this record? What type of numbers is this record doing? Who are you? What markets are you hot in? You know, so they're looking at all of that. These labels nowadays want to add water and stir. This is instant, you know what I mean? This is instant grits over here now. This is not about, we're not going to develop you and, you know, work with you to get all of your ducks in a row and yada, 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 like it was maybe like, you know, 10 years ago, so 6, 7 years ago, where you would have the A&R that would say, oh, you have a lovely voice, or, you know, you rap, you fire, we're going to sign you to a development deal. There are no development deals. There is no A&R anymore. It's simply come to the table with a finished product, have it be viable, have it already scorching in the streets. You're already hot. You're already on fire. You come in, we want to partner with you.
Right.
And let's share in the revenue. We'll bring the machine, and we call it the machine in the industry. So we'll bring our machine to the table, the machinery that you'll need to go so much further than what you're able to do. Let's partner. These are the type of deals that are going down right now.
I feel like I'm going to school today.
Yeah, hey, listen.
A lot. This is awesome.
In session, yes.
That's right.
Yes.
So how do you trust? Who do you trust in this business?
Nobody.
No. But how do you like, so how do you find your team? Like, how do you make your team? How do you find a manager? How do you get the proper advice? Like, I mean, if the average person doesn't know a lot of the stuff that you're sharing with us tonight,
right.
How do you go out and actually find it? What is your solution for that?
Come to the official DEALMAKER, Robert Terell, Wealth Nation Entertainment. Hire me as a consultant, and I'll walk you through the process. But other than that, you really have to, I always tell people to either go by referrals. If you know somebody that's in the industry that's legit, you know, most of the people that are legit in the industry, we pretty much all know each other or know of each other.
Right.
And so go off a warm referral. I mean, Google, you can't really, if you just Google music manager in the music business, you're going to have all kinds of stuff pop up. And you might be on a wild goose chase forever. And you're probably going to get conned. You're probably going to get scammed, you know, because it's so easy for people to create something online and look like whatever and act like, you know, whatever they need to be because, you know, you're online. But nobody really has any way of, you know, substantiating this information, you know, to make sure that it's valid. So I would say the best thing to do, like, I mean, go to performing rights organizations like BMI and ASCAP and CSAC, organizations like that. They have directories, you know, that you can look through. There are organizations out there that have managers that are actually registered, you know, with these organizations. And I would start there if you don't know somebody in the game that can really refer you.
Okay.
You know, you have to be very careful.
Let me ask you a question, because you mentioned something about there's no more A&R, there's no more artist development. and you know, the industry is literally upside down because of just
Right.
how digital has changed everything, and it's allowed it into the hands of the prosumer. People are able to produce and create music. What does distribution mean now in 2014, as opposed to, like, I'm thinking distribution when I knew it back in the days, that was like your record distribution. That was like getting out into
Right.
record stores and pressing CDs and records and all that stuff.
Right.
Whereas, like, you know, you got your 12s in every last DJ shop in
Right,
the world,
right,
and you're
right,
sending it out
right,
to
right.
DJs and radio
Right.
stations and all that. What does
Exactly.
distribution mean now in 2014?
Wow. First of all, let me say this. That's a great question. That's
Oh,
a
thank
great
you.
question. Well, with the rise of companies like CD Baby and TuneCore and all of these other digital distribution opportunities that the independent artists have. I mean, basically for $30, 20, $30, they have an outlet to put their music out. So let's just take that and kind of separate that. That to me, I call that independent artist distribution. For lack of a better term, that's basically what I call that. Now, the difference now is major label distribution. A real situation is different from that. One of the things I always tell people that they tell me, well, I already have distribution. And I say, who do you have it with? Well, I'm with TuneCore. Or I'm with CD Baby. And I always say to them, is TuneCore, CD Baby going to cut you a check if you blow up off one of these records? The answer is unequivocally no. Why? Because they're not a label. So if you sold 20,000 records on TuneCore, CD Baby off of one of your singles, you'd get your percentage from them, but that would be it. Nobody's going to call you into an office of TuneCore Records. They're going to say, oh, this TuneCore Records now, CD Baby Records, come on over here, let's cut you a deal, let's get you on. So I think it's better, in my personal opinion, to strategically align yourself with a major like a Universal or Def Jam or Interscope, who also has distribution. However, they have the label machinery that comes with it. And if you qualify, meaning that you actually are selling, people are actually downloading your music, they're buying your music, they will actually give you money for radio, promotions, and marketing overall. They will partner with you and give you money. That's what my partner John Ferguson, he was very instrumental. We worked on, with the whole Strange Music with Tech Nine and them. That's basically how they got started, with the Ingles Fontana situation, and then Wiz Khalifa and others, who are over there. They have distribution deals, but their distribution deals, they're getting money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And the machine. And the machine behind
them. They're getting money and the machine. Exactly. So that, to me, is the type of distribution deal. If you're going to go that route, that's the way that you should go. So get in with them, show a consistent history of performing well with doing 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 units sold every time you put music out, because that's what they're looking at. Eventually, somebody over there is going to say, hey, let's talk about a real situation.
So obviously this is something that you're an expert. I mean, the way that you've been able to just kind of educate us, total lay people in this situation, you obviously do this. I know you work for Bungalo Records, but then you also have Wealth Nation Entertainment. Talk to us about how your company kind of fits in and what it does. Like, how do you appreciate, or how do you want people to approach you about, hooking them up with a deal?
Well, Wealth Nation Entertainment is a brand management and development company. That's our core competency. That's basically what we do. So what we just talked about there is that we have put together our own machinery to help the independent artists put all of these components together, all of these pieces together. We are today's A&R. We're A&R in the projects. We're taking them from A to Z, or wherever they are, wherever their starting point is. We're taking them from there, and we are developing them and putting them together so that they can be in position to get either a major label distribution deal and or a record deal and or a publishing deal, or whatever type of deal that they want to get. We also help people, we pair up with investors. So we have people who are investors who invest in music projects that are friends of ours. And if it makes sense, we'll bring you to them as well.
So how do you want people to come up to you and say, like, listen, like, how do you appreciate, because, you know, I'm sure there's a ton of people out there that want to work with you, since, you know, you got the connections and you got the secret sauce to getting it done. But, you know, what impresses you that makes you say, like, I'm going to pay attention to you, I'm going to stand behind you and, you know, really try to make something happen for you?
Well, you know, generally speaking with me, the first thing that impresses me is your attitude. You know, your attitude, you know, whether or not are you humble? You know, are you hungry? Are you willing to do whatever, you know, we tell you to do and whatever needs to be done to get to that next level? Because some of these artists, you know, like I said, they have this feeling of entitlement. They have this feeling that their music is so dope that, like, well, why should I have to do what Yo Gotti did, which is run around all of these different little towns and all of these different states and pass out, you know, mixtape CDs and perform for free. Why should I have to perform for free? I'm hot. I'm dope. Everybody knows me. You know, I'm on fire. You know, so it's like these are the intangibles that are like, hey, well, you know, so first of all, you gotta have the right attitude. Then, of course, you have to have talent. You know, I look for finished product. I like finished product. You know, I don't like people coming to me with ideas of product. No, go finish the record, get the records done, bring me 5 records, bring me 5 singles. If you can, try to bring me 5 singles. If you can bring me 5 singles, then I'm impressed. You know, just to bring me one record that's crazy, like, yo, this record is crazy. Okay, that record is crazy, but then what happens after that? You know, and then, of course, you know, at the end of the conversation or before the conversation is finished, of course, my thing is, what is your budget? Tell me what you're working with for real, for real. You know, we can do pay as you go. That's fine. We can pay as you go because I know, you know, how it is. But if you tell me either I don't have a budget or, you know, well, I got $500, I don't even care what your record sounds like.
Oh, gosh. So they're really approaching you with their own business, and it is the business of themselves. And they're saying, okay, I got skin in the game. I have $10,000 that I'm willing to invest in myself because I believe in myself. And then followed by, I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to hustle. I'm willing to do the free stuff in order to one day get paid and realize or get the ROI get the ROI based off of, you know, what you've put in there. And I guess.
Yeah, I always tell them I manage the dream. I don't finance it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. But I will. You know what it is that in as much as having the money is knowing how to spend the money, where to spend the money, who to spend it with, and when. You have to have a plan. It has to be very strategic, very methodic, and very well thought out because it has to make sense. So many artists, for example, I ran into an artist one time. I won't mention no names, no state, or anything like that, but I'll say this. This artist was about $180,000 in the hole when I met him. They had wrapped vans. They had vans wrapped. They all iced up, jewelry, T-shirts, hats, all kinds of stuff, okay? Had never sold any records.
Oh.
Okay? Had records on the radio. They spent $40,000 on one record to do a radio campaign on one record, but guess what? It was the wrong record. Because they never tested the record. So here they were, by the time they met me, they were 100. I said, man, you could have put 4 kids through college.
Right.
You know, $180,000 in the hole, and now they're like, well, Rob, what can we do? You know, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Robert,
are you out of money? Do you have any money left?
Is that why you wrote the book, Broken Famous?
Yeah, I wrote the book Broken Famous because I must get literally between 5 to 10 horror stories a week. from artists who have been beaten in so many different ways that I just got so sick and tired of hearing it. I started like doing a little like, you know, diary on some of these stories, some of these horror stories. People getting beat on features. People get beat on paying to perform for shows, for showcases. And, you know, people get beat on their publishing. They're getting beat because they're not properly registered with the right agencies. They're getting beat all the way around. They're getting beat for their music. People are going to studios, recording records with people, and then they have no ownership of the record. And then somebody else winds up putting that record out on a mixtape or putting it out some other vehicle. That record blows up. The only thing that artist can say is, that's me on the record. That's my money.
No money.
No money.
Yeah. When you say publishing,
Right.
are you talking about publishing as far as the lyrics, or are you, you know, is it, what do you mean when you say publishing? Because I'll think of it in the traditional book sense.
Right. Well, publishing, you know, is the licensing money, the money for actually licensing the music, putting out the music, and the money that comes back. It's the totality. It's a pie. You know, there's all kinds of money that you make in the music business, from your sales of the record, you know, which is your, you know, your mechanical royalties, you know, your licensing of the record, your radio. This is all of these are different money that's coming in. That's all from publishing, from licensing the record out. So what I'm saying is that when a composition is made, there's somebody that composed it, which is the producer, and then there's somebody that wrote it, which is the writer. These two people, the writer and the producer, have to come to an agreement. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 writers on a record. So they all have to come to an agreement, which is called a split sheet agreement. Fill out the split sheet agreement. Hopefully everybody's registered. This guy's with ASCAP, that guy's with BMI or CSAC or whoever. The record gets registered so it's properly tracked. And as it generates royalties, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the publishing. When it generates the money, who's getting paid and who is overseeing that and administrating that?
Is that where the problem with TLC and Pebbles came in?
Exactly.
Exactly.
All of their publishing, you know, allegedly was going to Pebbles. So, you know what I mean? So that means that they're just like making music, but she owned the rights to all of it, allegedly. And so at the end of the day, at that point, if you don't own the rights to your music or a percentage of it, and you have no paperwork, basically the only money that you're going to get is show money. And that's it. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at show money. So you're losing all kinds of money where the real money is at.
So is that what your book is talking about? We know why you're doing it, but what is the book going to actually teach somebody?
And before you answer that question, I just want to remind our viewers that if you guys are watching live, make sure if you have questions, because we have an awesome expert on tonight, tweet us at hashtag Lori and Cher. And sorry, Robert, you can go ahead. I just want to remind our live viewers that we have you and you're awesome. And you're giving us so much information. So live viewers, let us know. Got the expert right here. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Lori.
Let's get it popping. What was the question, Lori?
My question is, so we know why you're actually doing this. We know why, because of the 5 or 10 people that are coming up to you saying, I got burned in the game. But what is it that they're actually going to learn from reading your book?
They're going to learn how to avoid the biggest traps, pitfalls, the con, the scammers, all the people out there that are just like taking people's money, robbing them, and not delivering on anything, because half of them are nobodies and can do nothing for you. So I'm going to teach you in the book, Broken Famous, how to avoid those people, how to recognize and identify them, what to ask them, what to look for, so that you'll flush them out and you'll know it will save you so much money. You know what I mean? It's like the used car salesman approach, like, you know, going down a used car sale, you know, you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know what questions to ask, and you don't have anybody look at the car, chances are you're probably going to get burnt. Well, it's the same way. People, all of these independent artists that want to do features, They're like,
What
yo,
are
I wanna.
features? You keep talking about feature. I don't know what that means. So,
Oh, I'm
just
sorry. I'm
Cher
sorry.
and I, because we're like, I'm like, there's some stuff I'm learning.
We're learning today.
Well, a feature is getting a record recorded. In the independent artist case, is usually with another major name, a major artist. Like if I'm an independent artist and I want to get a record with Future, or I want to get a record with Yo Gotti or whoever, I'm going to pay Yo Gotti X amount of dollars, whatever Yo Gotti's asking for, I'm going to pay him. He's going to record on the beat that I send him 16 bars, 8 bars, or 12 bars, depending on what we agree to. He's going to drop that and send the record back to me. Now I have a record featuring, this is where it came from, featuring Yo Gotti.
Okay.
So the actual terminology, the correct legal terminology, if the lawyers are watching this, they will tell you, you know, you need a side artist agreement. So that's the actual legal correct terminology, is a side artist agreement. However, in the music game, everybody calls it a feature. So everybody's jumping on everybody's record because what are they trying to do? They're trying to cross market to get into your fan base by saying, well, I have you on my record with me, so hopefully now your fans will start checking me out. And this is huge right now in the new music game. It's all about, I mean, that's one big piece that they're doing right now, where they're getting beat crazily because people are sending money to quote unquote management of these artists or middleman brokers of these artists. They're sending them the money thinking that they're going to get the record, and they're taking their money and they never get the record, and their money's gone, and the phone's disconnected, and the website is down, and it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Wow. So the way that, you know, the business has kind of evolved to where it is, when you look forward and you look to like where it's potentially going, is it a scary thing for you, or are you happy with the changes that things that have kind of been brought along in the music game? The fact that there are so many independent artists that are making it big, and you know that there aren't development deals, that there's an A&R. Like, are you happy with the direction? Is it a scary kind of future outlook?
Well, you know, I mean, me personally, I'm happy for the very small percentage, which it is very small, of independent artists that are actually making money. Okay, so we talk about making it. Let's define making it.
Yeah, so everyone's fronting with the grills and all the, you know, all glassed out and all that jewelry and stuff like that. So everyone's fronting. They're not necessarily making anything. They're showing up at award shows. They act like there's somebody flossing in these cars with the rims and everything like that. But
most of them people are in debt. Okay, most of them people owe everybody. Okay, so I'm not gonna say no names again, but I'll just say this. I personally used to manage a major artist with Maybach Music Group, okay? And he had all the ice, the jewelry, the accolades, and all that other stuff, you know what I mean? But he was in a lot of debt. You know what I'm saying? So you can't be fooled. Don't get fooled by perception. You know what I'm saying out there? Mm-hmm. So don't get fooled by perception. You know, a lot of these guys, their stuff is borrowed, leased, in somebody else's name, and all kinds of other stuff. And if you were to look at their credit report, you were to look at their financial situation, if you look at their bank accounts, if you had access to that information, because I'm a business manager, I've seen all of this stuff. These guys, a lot of these guys haven't filed tax returns in 5 and 6 or 7 years. A lot of them have bank accounts in the negative or no bank account at all. They're using rush cards and prepaid debit cards and all kinds of craziness. So from my vantage point, you are not financially healthy. So you may look good and you may be talking good. You may, you know, you're talking a good game, you look right and all of that. But what's behind that? And this is what I'm saying. Like, get your financial affairs in order. Get your stuff straight. Don't, you know, this business is 90% business, 10% music, not the other way around. These independent artists got to realize, like, it's not all about the music. If your business affairs are not in order, if you're not properly registered where you need to be registered, if you don't have a good team, if you're self-managing yourself, or your homeboy that you grew up with from around the way is quote unquote your manager, but he don't know nothing about publishing, licensing, royalties, and none of that. He's just the big homie that's rocking with you. That's not a manager.
Right.
Wow. You know, like our sorry, Cher, I just want to just mention this. You know, our Twitter feed's kind of blowing up, and people are like, "We want the scoop. We want the scoop on who this artist is." But I'm like, we're not a scandalous show, so I haven't even put you in that position to be like, "Yo, tell us. This isn't no Wendy Williams or something like that." So we will keep it. Well, we like just the knowledge you're giving us. We don't need the scandal, you know.
Yeah.
I think I leaked too much already, but you know. But
it is what it is, though.
It is what it is, though. But it is what it is. It's real, you know. But I'm just saying, I've managed quite a few major artists that are in that situation, and so that's why I'm saying it's like you sit down with these people, they have hit records, you know, they have records with some of the biggest artists, and you look at their financial picture and you just scratch your head like, why are you living with your baby's mama, and why are you living at your mom's house? Why are you not, when you have a record that's playing 20 times a day on the radio?
Wow.
What's going on with your situation?
That just sounds like it hurts. It hurts.
Well,
it hurts.
We gotta.
Same as the music game.
We have a Twitter question coming.
All right.
Rob, we have a Twitter question.
Okay.
I have a lady named Fee Brown. She says she's currently growing a label geared to conscious artists. What's the difference between artist management and label management?
Huh. Wow. Well, artist management, I don't know exactly how she's asking it, but I'll answer it the way that I think she's asking it. Artist management, you're managing the artist itself, an individual or a group. Label, somebody's managing the whole label. That's all of the artists that are signed to that label. Somebody's managing that whole brand and responsible for all of those artists. And that's the big difference. Label, artist, simple.
Okay.
And the question I had for you, Robert, was really more around, like, you are so, like, full of knowledge, and it seems both street smart and book smart. Tell us a little bit about your background as far as how you came to do this, in the sense of, like, where did you go to school? What did you do? How did you get here? Because it sounds like you got both. You got the street smart and the book smart going on there.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I mean, I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx. I started out, you know, in New York just grinding. I had an internship at Calliope Studios, and I started working underneath Kevin Maxwell, who was at Tommy Boy at the time, LaVeba Mallison, all those guys from back in the day. I worked with all of them. And basically, you know, I decided that me being a rapper wasn't going to work. You know, after
do you want to spit some lyrics?
I tried my hand at being a rapper. I tried my hand at that. My record they put it on Make It or Break It, and they broke it into like 1 million pieces.
I remember Make It or Break It.
Oh, yeah, you remember Make It or Break It?
I do.
They broke
I do.
mine. I just started, like, basically, you know, having a sense for the business side of it and really wanting to go in that direction. So I just focused on that. And, you know, I went back to school to get my MBA, and I just started really focusing on the business of the business because, you know, somebody once told me, said, ATB is about the business. It's not about anything else. It's about the business. So I said, well, where's all the money coming from? And you look at the biggest stars that are making all the money, the people that are actually, you know, that are handling their money, they're making a lot of money. So I tell people all the time, like, you know, I'm Jerry Maguire. I'm with the money. You know, I'll show you the money. I will show you the money. You know. Yeah. So yeah. So that's pretty much it.
You know, I have another question for you about this music business. Often I see artists who've been here. They've been, you know, they have like a moderate level of success maybe in their town. I see it a lot for Canadian music. I don't know if you know a lot about Canadian music. But it doesn't seem like they're blowing up any bigger than where they are. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if it's a marketing. I don't know if their music's not good. But at what point should they give up? Like, how long should you be in the music business and say, like, listen, like, just like how you said, like, you know, you knew that rap wasn't going to work out for you. But like, you know, at what point should you just kind of walk away, maybe find something else to do in the business, but maybe think like, as an artist, you're only going to get to a certain level, and you're really not kind of breaking past that?
Well, you know, that's a really tough question because, you know, one of my mottos is never give up, you know. So it's kind of hard to tell somebody to give up on their dreams or when they should give up on their dreams. But I will say this, if you've been working on music for, you know, more than 5 years in a serious manner, and as an artist, you're not really making any headway, or, you know, between 5 to 10 years, you're not making any headway, I would say you may want to look at a different aspect of the industry that you may be actually better at than an artist. If you're constantly losing money year after year after year, I mean, you know, but then again, there's always exceptions to the rule, like, you know, Ross and other people who it took them 11, 12, 13 years before they really got on. So it's really hard, like I said, to tell somebody that, you know, when it just might be like one record away from blowing up. So that's the only way I can answer that question. Is like, one thing I will say is that, you know, you kind of know if other people besides just the homies are telling you that your music is dope and you're traveling outside of your market and they're co-signing you, then you probably have something viable. You probably have a shot, a real bona fide shot. But if it's just your mom and the homies, your dad, your people, yo, my people said I'm fired. If it's just your peoples, well, then if it's only still your peoples 5 or 6, 7 years later, chances are
it's just your peoples.
It's just your people.
So well, that comes back. Sorry, that just comes back to the testing idea of making sure that you're testing to see that it's a viable product and that it has mass appeal as opposed to mom appeal.
Right. We call it having legs. Does the record have legs?
Right.
You know, and you know, I mean, if you test a record for 6, 7, would you rather spend $700 or $800 to properly test a record, or stack to properly test a record, or run with the wrong record and spend 40, 50, 60,000 on the wrong record?
Depends on whose money you're spending.
Depends on, I don't care whose money you're spending.
As long as it's not your own.
I hope you're not spending nobody else's money, because that'll be the last record that.
There'll be some broken legs. Last record.
Exactly.
I want to switch gears here because, you know, when I introduced you, you know, reading through your bio, and it says that you're a serial entrepreneur. Talk about that, and let's just talk about, like, you know, Cher and I come from a background of entrepreneurship, and we want to know what your philosophy is, kind of navigating yourself through that game in terms of motivation. How do you keep going? But also, how do you spot the right opportunity? Because if you say you're a serial entrepreneur, it means that you're not just in one, like, section of the business. You know, you do lots of things. You're always out there.
Right. So what was your question again? So
how do you keep yourself motivated to keep on going after new opportunities, and how do you spot the right opportunity for you?
Well, that's a great question. Wow, this is a great interview. Well, I tell you, you guys are sharp. I tell you, I'm impressed. The Lori and Cher show, I'm telling you, hacking in awesome. I'm hacking in awesome right now, just talking to y'all. So y'all are really dope. But you know, to answer your question, how I keep myself motivated, basically, I read a lot. For one thing, you know, I like to read great success stories. That's one thing that keeps me motivated. You know, I meditate. You know, I just like, I look at it like this. It's like winners, if you're really a winner, you're going to find a way to win, or you're going to lose by default. You have a choice. So every day when I wake up, I'm like, well, what are you deciding today? You deciding to win, or you're going to lose by default? You can just lay here in the bed and do nothing, and you automatically lost. So you can get up and do something. What do you want to do? So I think, for starters, for me, it's a daily conscious decision, you know, that I make to get out here and really work and hustle, and that keeps me going. And then who you surround yourself with is so important. I mean, you know, like who is in your inner circle of your team? You know, are these people positive people? Are they encouraging you? Are they resourceful? You know, a lot of times people will just like, you can't, your mind can be contaminated by a whole bunch of nonsense. People are always making deposits and withdrawals into your mental and your emotional state of being. So you got to be careful, you know, who you allow to rent space in your mind, you know. So I'm mindful of all of these things. That's on the motivational side. Then moving into like the right opportunity. Well, simply put, does it make sense? You know, because there's a lot of opportunities, but does it make sense? The second thing is it in alignment? Because I'm real big on universal alignment. If I'm going this way in my energy in the direction I'm going in, I'm in alignment with this energy and this is where I'm going. I can't just jump on any other opportunity that may take me out of alignment. So does it make sense in terms of, does it make good financial sense, good business sense, is it viable, and yada yada? That's a given. But now, how does it make sense in my world with what I'm already doing? Does it intertwine and incorporate into what I'm doing to further both things? Otherwise, if it doesn't, not to say that it's not a great opportunity, but it might not be the right time. The timing is critical.
So how many opportunities do you feel is like for you to give, like, you know, like sometimes I think like, you know, you're supposed to give yourself like 100% focus to one thing. I think about like what Cher and I do. It's like we give 100% focus. We get approached by people that says like, hey, do you want to do this great opportunity or that great opportunity? And we're kind of like, well, we can only focus on one. But for you, do you feel like if you want to be like a serial entrepreneur that you have to learn to have like, is it a team that allows you to be able to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, you hit it right on the head. I mean, first of all, like I said, you have to have a team if you want to be a serial entrepreneur. Okay, you have to have a team. Now, you have to also be able, as in being a leader, you have to be able to properly delegate. You know, you can't try to wear all of these hats, because if you spread the peanut butter over too many slices of bread, what's going to happen? It's going to lose its taste. By the time you get to the third and fourth slice, right, there's nothing there. So don't spread yourself too thin. Don't try to, you know, be the jack of all trades and the master of none. You want to do what you do best. You have to identify people that can run these other businesses. You have to be able to successfully recruit people into your team and say, here's a blog site. You're a blogger. You're great at blogging. You do blogging, right? Well, we just launched a blog site. You handle that piece.
Mm-hmm.
And help them put the infrastructure together and support them. And you're back to what you do. So you have to know how to put infrastructure together and then pull away and back away and not try to be all up over there in their thing and let them do what they do.
How do you trust people? How do you trust people to do that? Like, how do you empower people that you feel like, man, I don't have to be micromanaging? What do you feel like your secret to that is? Because, I mean, obviously you have a certain level that you want people to be operating at, which is your level. But how do you kind of let go and just so you like, you know, let me kind of empower these people to, you know, hopefully be working at my level or above?
Well, I think a lot of that starts with your culture, you know, the culture of your organization. You know, when we bring people into our organization, you know, we operate like a mob. You know, it's like Cosa Nostra. You know, so it's like really family. It's like, you know, so if you don't do your job right, we might break your legs. Well, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But it really is. It really is family over here. You know, we do. No, the thing about it is like, if people fit into your culture and you have a system, you kind of know the quality of person from the door that you're dealing with. So then it just becomes a matter of whether or not it's going to work in your system. You have to teach, people have to be acclimated. First, you have to have a culture. You have to have a system. You have to have a methodology to the madness. So what are you integrating people into? A lot of times people bringing people into a bunch of chaos, a bunch of, nonsense. And, you can't bring good quality people like Lori and Cher into a bunch of craziness, bunch of madness that doesn't make sense. Because
Right.
as great as they are, they can't make your madness make sense. You have to make it make sense. They can help you take it further. Well, that's my same thing. That's my philosophy.
All right.
So,
We have,
I look for good quality people that will fit into our system and what we do.
we have two more questions. One comes from Twitter, from Phi Brown. She says she knows of an artist who wants his music in TV and film. He has a budget. What does he need to do, or what do you need from him to possibly meet with you?
Well, what he could do is email me, officialdealmaker@gmail.com, first of all, and email me a synopsis of the project, give me an overview of what he has. And generally what I do is my assistant, Lauren, she will schedule a consultation, and we'll do about 15, 20-minute consultation, and, we take it from there.
Okay, awesome. The last question that we have, Cher and I love to end our interviews because we learned a lot from you, being two lay people, not really, knowledgeable about what happens in the music business. I feel
Right.
like, okay, at least I know what a feature is.
Know what a feature is?
And publishing and distribution.
Distribution. Wow.
I know a lot of people are fronting in the game, but we want to know, what's your legacy? What do you want the Rob Terell legacy to be after all the work and effort that you've put into all that you do? When you look forward and you say, what do I want it to be? What is that for you?
Well, for me, that's a great question. I think I want the Rob Terell legacy to be, here's a guy that didn't judge me by, what I have, but judge me by who I am. Wealth in the Wealth Nation stands for where every avenue leads to happiness. So if we can help a few people change their lives and be happy and have a better life as a result of encountering me or anyone on my team, then, we feel like we changed some lives, we made some lives better, and that's worth more than money. So that's why we Wealth Nation, because Wealth Nation, it has the double-edged sword. It's not just about the money. It's about happiness. At the end of the day, you just want to be happy. The money is a byproduct of a lot of different things, but you can have all the money in the world. You can have all the cars and 7 houses and 20, whatever, boats and whatever, but are you happy? Are you happy with yourself? Are you happy with your life? And that's where we feel like, our legacy is the bringing of a bunch of people together so that they can have a better life, be happier, and help people, and that's it. We could pass the wealth on to the other generations so that they could do the same thing and really teach these kids what real wealth is about, because real wealth is not necessarily about money. And that's just it. Of course we need money, but at the end of the day, like we said, look at all the people that have money. These are some of the most miserable people you ever want to meet. So if you can get the money and you can be happy, there it is. Now you got something going on. That's the ticket. Right. Be happy, make money. That's what we say.
Well, before we let you go, I'm loving your positioning and just how you see your legacy, and the fact that you love the fact that or that you are working to always be approachable and look to wealth as more than just money, that happiness. A lot of people want that too. So where can they get in touch with you on the net? We have a few of your places right here. So where would you tell people, besides your Gmail address, you also your website and
officialdealmaker.com, and the company's website is Wealth Nation ENT. WealthNationENT.com, and that's where you can find us. And just get at us. Like I said, if it makes sense, we're gonna make it make dollars.
I love it.
If it don't make sense, we're going to help you put it together so that it makes sense. Either way, we're going to help you. So come to Wealth Nation, check us out, holler at us. At the worst case scenario, you're going to leave the call happy because you got some great information, and now you know what you need to do to take that next step.
Lori, you happy tonight? I'm happy. I mean, we learned so much. This was just an awesome interview. I'm happy tonight. I'm happy to have our guest, who is just phenomenal. And anybody's watching the rebroadcast, because I know this is going to get shared like crazy, because you just dropped
Because you broke it down.
Yeah, you broke it down. Exactly.
You broke it down. It was like, you might as well sit at home and be like, with your notepad, and be like, okay, so step one was this. Okay, I got to make sure, take down the contact information, make sure, be like, yo, let me call, like, a brand manager like Cher Jones to be like, yo, I need to get my Instagram up, I need to get my Facebook up, I need to get my Twitter up before I even, and then who am I going to? Am I going to my uncle? Am I going to my aunt? Am I going to this guy? Because if my friends are saying, like, you know, are they going to invest in me if they think my record's hot? Because before I go to Robert, I got to make sure that my stuff's on point, because he wants a package deal. What did you say? The record industry wants that add water and stir, so I got to make sure. Add water and stir. You know?
That's right, baby. That's right. That's it. Instant grits and instant hits. That's what it is.
Exactly. Well, you know what, Robert? We loved having you on the show tonight. Thank you so much. You know, Cher, what are we always doing? We're always looking for people that are awesome, right?
That's right. And if you think you're awesome as our guest tonight, that's hard to top, but if you think you're awesome and you should be a guest on our show so that we can hack into what's upstairs, we would love for you to apply to be a guest. Just hit us up at loriandcher.com/guest. We want to hear from you. So yeah, make sure we're looking for people like Rob, because he just killed it tonight with information. So loved it.
Anyway, until another episode of Lori and Cher. Thank you so much.
You guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. So I really appreciate it. Y'all know how to do a dope interview, so that's great. So we're hacking into awesome interviews. If you don't know how to do an awesome interview, a dope interview that's prepared with some phenomenal questions, holla at Lori and Cher. That's what you get from official deal maker Robert Terell. You heard it right here.
We love it. We love it. It's like you dropped a dub plate. You know what a dub plate is? We should have just had a beat on it, and you could have just rapped that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we want to thank everyone from Twitter, Facebook, everyone who watched the show tonight, anyone who's watching it back on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. We just love this one. Bye.